Make sure you're ready.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to come together today, Lord. God, we pray that you watch over this community. Bring us together, Lord. God, we pray that you watch over this board, Jeff, and the girls in the office, everyone that's here tonight. Allow us to remember your two greatest commands: love our neighbors as ourselves, and love our God with all of our hearts and all of our souls. For it's in your heavenly name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Secretary, he's going to be a little late, so I'm going to ask Matt to establish our quorum.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, I don't think, oh, Bill's online. Bill, can you share the treasurer's report with us?
Oh.
Hello, no. Guys? All right, we can hear you.
Okay, so mine keeps flashing that I'm on mute, but I guess I'm not. Lake Forest as a whole was under budget for April 2026 by $15,452 and under year-to-date $90,434. Administration was under budget for the month by $27,489. That puts us better than budget for the year-to-date at $38,341. The golf shop was over budget for the month by $12,881, but is still better year-to-date by $10,635. Long story short, the budget we had set for golf, which was mostly based off of the activity from last year, we did not hit the budgeted sales projections by 13,000, and that caused the not as good as budget for this particular year. Golf maintenance was over budget for the month by 4,347. Year to date, we are still under budget by 25,446. We did have some repairs this month that were higher than budgeted, and that put us over a little bit. But there's always some differences in golf maintenance, mainly due to timing and when we purchase the fertilizer and when we need it. And a lot of times that depends on the weather. Facilities was over budget by $407 and over year to date by $2,102. Marina was over budget for the month by $860 and year to date $4,955. And this collected are under what we had budgeted and are less than last year so far. The pools were under budget by $1,767 for the month, but we are still under year to date $7,757. The yacht club was under budget by $4,793 for the month and under year to date $16,514. And most of that was from us receiving what is called our profit sharing, depending on how the sales were at the yacht club. We get a little piece of that every year from the year before, and that's what's got us up a past budget. The 19th hole was over budget this month by $651 and over year to date by $880. So more or less, the 19th hole has been right around budget for the 4 months this year. And that's the highlights on the financials.
I had two questions, Bill. Can we bring attendance back as a line item on this report, because we'll have some changes happening there where some money will be going out and coming back in. And also I had a question. Are we not including a profit sharing when we budget for the year when it comes to the yacht club?
Let me answer the second question first. The answer is yes, but we had it budgeted later in the year.
Okay.
So it's showing us over right now, and then later in the year that will catch up. And yes, we certainly can include tennis as a line item on there. Absolutely.
Thanks, Bill. Any other questions? Okay. Let's see, committee reports, we'll go over those. So we'll get to member comments. I got it. Somebody already gave it to me. First here. First we have up is Victoria Phelps.
Try to rush through this. Good evening, everyone. Victoria Phelps, Woodcrest Drive. So just a little anecdote. Most of the people that don't live down in our area, when you think about the seasons of the year, you think of winter, spring, summer, fall, is what traditionally most people probably United States think. But if you're from the South, especially the deep South along the Gulf, I was always taught it was shrimp, crab, crawfish, and oyster. And then if you're a Roll Tide fan, like I am, there's waiting for softball season, there's softball season, and then there's waiting for football season, and then there's football season. So tonight, the Crimson Tide girls team is taking on UCLA at the same time as this meeting. So the fact that I'm here is a
She
big
means business.
sacrifice. Anyway, to the real things here. So there's some improvements on the entrances are noted. I think there needs maybe a little in-house training. Don't know if our fancy robots can accomplish this or not, but possibly on the term rolling regarding pine straw. You need to put enough out there so it can be rolled. It's a technique in landscaping, and that would make what's put out there look a little nicer. There is some local development previously zoned multifamily properties that are going to be are looking like they're going to come in soon. And if they are going to impact our creeks and streams. So I don't know if y'all have awareness on that. If someone wants to discuss with me further, please reach out to me and I can fill in some blanks. Also, the city of Daphne approved a $450,000 unplanned budgeted expense on drainage pipe repairs on Ridgewood Drive. And so that project is approved and it looks to get triggered fairly soon with a contractor. Public Works isn't gonna do that job. They're gonna hire it out. I see the marina is on your agenda. I hope that in some kind of way, there can be some type of compromise to move forward with that project. As you all know, it's overdue with the people that we share the lease with. Sunshades at Ridgewood Pool in parks and playgrounds. I would encourage y'all to put that on your infrastructure list. It was originally part of the original plans for that project, but like with everything, you banter about back and forth and it didn't get done. And so a couple sunshades at both the playground area and the pool area in a more effective way.
Which one,
To
Victoria?
provide shade, Ridgewood Pool, yeah, especially. That's where you have most of your kid use, really, and that one has very little shade there. I want to bring to your attention the rules for a quorum. A long time ago, around October of 2023, there was some legal decision provided that allowed y'all to hold a meeting with 3 people present instead of 4, which always bothered me. Didn't think that if you have a board of 7, how can you have a quorum with 3 people? But anyway, that was a legal ruling that we got. And so if that's the case, then any committee meeting you have also would require advertising if you have 2 to 3 board members there. So I believe your current ruling is any number of board members present constitutes a quorum. So unless you want to operate above that and say that a quorum is 4, that's how you're going to operate. And then also on your committee meetings have less than 4 board members there, so you don't have to advertise the meeting. So I just ask y'all to look at that and make a practice that lends itself to transparency. Also, I'm gonna talk again about the yacht club plaque. We're still waiting to hear when that's gonna be replaced. There was some talk on social media about speed bumps getting installed. In Lake Forest, I caught this week in Ridgewood and Bayview Drives, there's a standing city resolution that does not allow traffic calming devices to be placed on those because of the fire and police and emergency services access. So someone was putting out that there's going to be speed bumps installed, which I don't believe is the case. So I weighed in on that and let it be known. But if on the side street you were approached by a group of residents, you said, hey, we would like a traffic calming device on our side street, and y'all agreed to it and requested it, that can be done, but the POA has to pay for the materials and for that to be installed. So that was a little disinformation out there. And then y'all said that you're gonna have a third-party review of our computer systems and the data breach, and we never got a report on that. If there was a report that was done, what were the findings? That was never put out to my knowledge. And then
Yeah, we'll let her finish.
And then lastly, well, you put out that you did it, but we didn't know what the findings were. So that's what I'm questioning. Maybe you did, but I missed it. But and lastly, I'll just mention the very similar Facebook page that's out there to ours, that mimics ours, run by the former president. We had this issue years ago with a former president, and we were able to get him to put on his, this is not the official Facebook page of LFPOA. And so because that other one that's not really us is sitting there looking exactly like ours, I would encourage y'all to follow that same thing that was done years ago. Other than that, I'm here if I can be of any help at any time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I'll give you a roll, Tad. For starters, let's see, a couple comments. I'll make a couple comments and I'll open it up if the board would like to make any additional comments. Victoria, so regarding the quorum, we had the same question earlier this year about our committee meeting. So we reached out to Patrick. Patrick indicated that we can have as many board members on a committee as desired. When a committee has a meeting, it's a committee meeting, not a board meeting. The committee investigates, researches, etc., and makes recommendations to assist the board in making decisions. So we too had questions about that. So we solicited his legal advice and direction on that. The next one, data breach, I'll let Jeff or Charlotte speak to that.
No, it's just a question because I thought that we put it in the newsletter.
We did.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, we did publicize it in the newsletter, and we did read the letter at the meeting, or at a meeting also.
And did they include the result?
The results.
The finding was that there was no penetration beyond email addresses.
Do we remember, do we recall what?
December, wasn't it?
December?
January.
Yeah. Okay.
So that maybe in the better language that there was no personally identifying information access. That's usually the term of art, I think, is used there.
So y'all were investigating a breach.
I never used the word breach because it was not a breach.
That was what we were waiting to
Not
hear,
gonna call it.
whether it was or it wasn't. Based on that.
It was
third
never
party
called a
review.
breach, and the consultant never called it a breach.
Let's clarify.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Awesome. Moving on. Oh, sorry, Tom.
If I may, I just noticed there, and I didn't know whether it mattered in our forum discussion there, but I see Mr. Lejeune is online. I don't know whether the minutes need to reflect that he's online or
Okay.
what that might mean.
No, that's just someone making up
Yeah,
stuff
I know.
online.
I haven't really been with you folks. I know you must be those.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can't hear anybody there, but that's okay.
We can hear you.
I could not hear the comments from the people that from Victoria.
Okay.
That would be, we know the mic's working.
Yeah.
Mike working, he's unmuted.
Miss Flowers, you're up next. It almost looks like Ollie. I guess that's just where my brain goes.
I
these days.
just
Say
wanted to
that's
say
my
that.
Okay, so last week I was really concerned that there was an item on the agenda that seemed to have taken you all completely by surprise. And I'm thinking that the board keeps promising transparency, but it's not offering any transparency amongst the members, and that's wrong. I knew exactly what that agenda item was because I've read it on Facebook. And I'm gonna give you all a copy of this. Now, this started with a Facebook posting by Matt Laws regarding the Mobile Bay National Estuary Program. And you'll see there are two parts in here that I have bolded because I was really concerned about it. And at the very bottom part, where it says we have drafted letters to the core Mobile district and ADEM to have them investigate this problem for the possible violation of wetland laws. Patrick is preparing the final letters from a draft I provided him. The Lake Committee will ask the board to sign the letters at a stated meeting. And it seems to me that last week was the first time that most of you had ever heard of this. So I would like to know what the protocol is for a board member to go to Patrick and ask him to do work for them. Because when you start working with a lawyer, you never know what the final cost is going to be. And that can get kind of pricey. The other thing is that I was on that Lake Committee for 2 years. And part of the reason that I took myself off the Lake Committee, it says the Lake Committee has toured the location on their golf course on 3 occasions, but it was never invited for the entire committee. Now, maybe Tom and Matt went and toured it 3 times. Maybe they took a friend of theirs to do this tour 3 times. I never knew anything about this tour of another area. As a matter of fact, especially after attending the last infrastructure committee, where it functioned as an actual committee and the members made motions for things and they were seconded and the entire committee voted, I realized that the Lake Committee never did anything. And I'm thinking that part of that is due to the first bold-faced part where it says the large bar that occupies about an acre that used to be lake bottoms showed up the day after Hurricane Sandy's rainfall, and I witnessed the bar's formation. And here's the salient part in parentheses, because it's 1 house down from mine and extends to Tom's home. And I'm wondering if maybe this has become a little bit too personal to Matt and Tom. And maybe it's time that the Lake Committee was disbanded.
That's Tom Pennington.
Some of the other, I'm still talking. The same as many of the other committees. The Lake Committee has done nothing except work on a, what do you call it? The thing that everybody is signing. The petition, thank you. Even though we have made plenty of recommendations in the 2 years that I was on the committee, nothing was done. We had 2 people on that committee who have been proven effective grant writers. And the last thing that I heard, the last committee meeting that I went to, which was in March, because it was right before the election, was that Tom had suggested hiring a grant writer. So I don't know if he had suggested that to the board or if that's more lack of transparency, because it was something that was absolutely not needed. And I have one other very quick question here, because somebody asked me
on Facebook earlier that the Pool and Racket Club pool will be opened at 5 a.m. for the early swimmers. Ridgewood and Montclair. They have lights on those pools so that people can swim at 5 a.m. Okay, good. All right. Thank you.
And Sally. Anyone on the board want to provide a response?
The Tom, they was referring to Tom Bennington
Okay.
because that portion of the lake is Tom's Cove. It's named after him.
Okay, thank you for the
Yeah.
clarification.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
In which case it's just from your house to his house, he's 2 doors down. So,
No, he's 3 doors down, but
sorry,
but I
4
wasn't
doors
talking
down.
about him.
but it makes such a big deal.
Any other, do you have any others?
No, no,
Okay.
no.
Tom?
I got nothing to
Everybody
say.
else?
It's
No.
not worth it.
Good. All right, we'll move into the next order of business. That's all the member comments we had for tonight. I did make a statement. All right, we're moving to old business, April stated meeting minutes approval. Approvals, April, okay. Your motion,
Motion to approve the minutes.
second,
I second.
all in favor? Aye. Tom? Okay. All right. Full financial review and approval. We just went over that. Do I hear a motion? Sorry.
Sorting through to get there. Where are we on?
We're on the April financial review and approval.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
You hear us okay?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
Are we, is this a printout?
Yeah, it's, well,
They were mailed today because we decided that was
Okay, okay.
page of paper.
I was
That's
just making
right.
sure I
So
wasn't
you'll have
a
skipping
copy
over
of it.
paper.
Yeah.
that's right.
Gotcha.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on, number 3, infrastructure committee report, Misty.
There is a printout of this. I like to say I'm a teacher, so I'm not going to read things to you that you can read for yourself. But I'll just quickly summarize the meeting. So we had a nice attendance. I think we have 13, 14 members on the infrastructure. We met to review bids on rebuilding piers at the waterfront. We compared 3 contractor bids, and the committee voted on which contractor that they recommend for the board, which is Gulf Coast Land and Marine. So now the board has a little bit of decisions that they need to make, and then we'll have some additional work back to the infrastructure committee for the next phase of this project. This is also an agenda item later on, so I'll give more information on what's happened since the infrastructure meeting when we get to that agenda item.
All right, any questions? One thing I do want to ask is, who's responsible for making sure the committee reports are uploaded on the website? Who does that?
Me.
Okay, all right, cool. And what's like your time span? Do you do it in a week? Do you do it how?
I'll have it done tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Once
Thank
you
you.
guys approve them and present them, then I put them on.
Okay, all right, awesome. So do I hear a motion to approve the infrastructure committee meeting minutes? Do I hear a second?
I second.
Everyone in favor? This side, we good? Yes,
Approved.
okay, thank you. All right, the next order of old business, Jeff, would you share with us your monthly report?
Sure. As most of you have experienced, the rain has been substantial in May, and that's always going to have an impact on your golf revenue. It's feast or famine when it comes to golf business. So for the month of May, we're down about 19% right now. During the spring, for instance, we typically do about $9,000 to $10,500 every weekend. Excuse me, in golf revenue. The first weekend of May, we did a total of $1,600 because we were closed 2 of those days, and Mother's Day was the 3rd day. So we've been trying to dig out of that hole when we've had some substantial closings because of weekend rain. But on the up note, we built a pretty good buffer, so we're still up 5.46% for the year, which is about $14,500. So we're really pleased with that we're, that there'll come a drought in June and July, and we'll be begging for rain, but the golf business will be there. So you take the good with the bad. 19th hole revenue. Whenever there's a decrease in foot traffic for golf, you're going to have a corresponding impact for the 19th hole. The 19th hole is down about 16% this month. From May, we've still got some time to make up that for the end of the month. But we're still very pleased. We had some successes this month. We had 282 Wednesday night burger specials and 72 of the Memorial Day barbecue specials. So for those of you who tried out, it was pretty good, I thought. Did you have it? Good. Okay, pretty good. So we're still up 3.26% year over year. So like I said, it's you just take the good with the bad. Losing the Memorial Day tournament on Monday also had a pretty drastic impact on the golf revenue and the 19th hole revenue as well. For maintenance items, it's been a busy month for the guys out there. Some things, we've got the driftwood roses. We've opted to put those at the entrances instead of perennials, just for the maintenance and the constant blooming that you're going to have. You're going to experience, new growth up until the first freeze, whereas your perennials were going to die, around mid-fall. So we're very happy about that. We put out, 34 of them at the Highway 90 entrance, 20 at the Deolith entrance, 6 at the Champions Way entrance, 10 at the Windsor entrance, and 10 up here in front of the clubhouse. We pulled those old bushes out and planted those in there to give a little bit more of a colorful, aesthetically pleasing appeal. The quarterly waterfront hedge trimming was completed, as well as the wire was removed and chestnut brown masonry paint was applied to all the pilings at the marina. Once we get a reprieve from this rain, we're going to replace that wire with 5/8 inch boat grade rope to where it'll look a little bit more nautical in that area. Pier D was pressure washed and stained. And the finger piers as of last Thursday, were deactivated due to safety concerns. So they are no longer an imminent safety risk for the time being. Some minor maintenance things at the pools. We had a toilet that was replaced at the Ridgewood pool due to a pair of goggles and other foreign objects becoming trapped in the S-curve trap of the toilet. And then there were 2 toilet issues at Swim and Racket. One was I personally fixed the wax seal on one of the toilets. And then the fill valve needed to be replaced on another one because someone took the lid off and decided to smash the internal parts of that. And as you've all read the email, we are still trying to pinpoint and solve the stray voltage issue at Swim and Racket. So we're working on that daily, trying to troubleshoot and figure out where the issues are coming from. But as we get updates, we'll release them to the community.
Hey, Jeff,
Yes.
have we seen any, we're not doing bingo,
Yes.
and that's the same night usually as burger night. Have we noticed any decrease in sale of burgers on that night?
The past 2 burger nights, one was the Daphne High School graduation, so that was that really hurt us. And this past one, we had that rainfall that came in the early afternoon, so we really haven't had a good, perfect condition. But before that, no, there was nothing we really hadn't experienced because we only did bingo 1 time a month. So I think that would have been the graduation week. So we really can't. June will be a good litmus test for us to see if.
I talked to Tom, who's a bingo caller. He's called as a substitute bingo caller. And I told him I would be glad to help him if he wanted to do that.
First I heard of this.
When are we having bingo, Tom?
You know, I,
Our
if the board thinks we should do bingo, I'll be happy to take that on. You know, it's,
Yes, please.
Why do we start bingo? My question.
That was your idea.
It was, why did we stop bingo?
It was your idea.
No, I've never said that we should stop bingo. All the thing I was going to do was reorganize bingo and start back, delay it 1 month. I never said anything about not having bingo. So who stopped bingo?
I think maybe what I recall of the conversation there was that you wanted to investigate cash bingo, Vic. Am I right? And I don't know what happened there. Something didn't work out with that. Is that a fair characterization?
Well, yeah, me and you had a discussion about bingo, and all I want to do, this was when I was appointed to be over the events committee, correct? And me and you met before the committee was even official.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided that you wanted to go ahead and have it. I was going to just delay it 1 month and come and start back the next month, but you wanted to go ahead and do it that month. So I let you do it. I said, go ahead. So I'm just trying to find out, since I'm not on the committee anymore, we don't have a committee, who stopped bingo?
Well,
It's not me. I didn't have
minutes-
anything to do with it.
Our minutes showed that you asked to leave the events committee, and then you quit leading the events committee via email 2 weeks later. At that time, it's when Patrick ruled that cash bingo would not be allowed. And this is all in emails that we have. So then you were no longer interested in doing bingo. So at our next meeting
No, that's not true. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's not true.
Okay, I'll
Well,
reread my emails.
maybe we don't
Yeah,
need to
let's just
debate
move
this.
forward.
Let's just
Yeah, Tom,
get
I
to the
think
question of, does the board want to resume bingo?
yeah, I don't know. Is it a board decision? Because I think we gave it back to the office. So I think if you are willing
I
to
don't know.
do it,
You
I
know,
think
if-
it's
what,
certainly.
Jeff, what are your thoughts there? Is it worth the effort? Is it?
25, 30 people. That was sort of the thing of let's pause and see, view it at a later date. Just give it a
Yeah.
little bit of a breather.
I mean, it's a lot of work on your end because not only is it room preparation and staffing, but you got to line up prizes and everything.
Yeah, I only asked a question about the impact on the sales.
Oh,
And, if that's significant, it would be worth our while to figure out how to staff bingo. That's all. And so the question to you is, does the lack of bingo affect burger sales?
we haven't really had a good test because bingo was going to be dead because it was lined up with Daphne graduation anyway. So we were going to have
So
an
not a
impact
good
there.
month to measure.
I mean, we can.
Our last discussion was we were gonna reach out to the community and see if some clubs and stuff wanted to take turns hosting it, but I don't think we ever put together that announcement to invite people.
Yeah, I think that's true.
What-
We need to follow up.
Yeah, what if we look at what June looks like on the bingo night, see what the sales look like? And then it sounds like we have some volunteers that'd like to lead and continue bingo, and we assess at that time. Does that sound good for everyone?
Is are you saying we're going to do this for June?
No, I'm just saying, let June, unless you guys come up with an agreement and you guys want to do it, it's fine, but, or we just wait and see if the sales on the bingo day in June are affected. But
Well,
I'm
one of-
open for whatever.
One of
you-
the things I'd like to raise, and I don't know enough about it really, is that question of this being members only. I never quite understood that. There may have been a very good reason for it. I am aware of some circumstances where, we had the thing of, well, you have to be on the deed. And some people were aware they weren't on the deed, and would be told, well, you're not on the deed, and then they'd say, oh yeah, look on Baldwin County records, and there it is, yes, they're on the deed. Second part of that was people would bring their friends, only to find out that that friend could not have a card. I don't know whether that's based on legal advice or preference.
The prizes are LFPOA money.
Uh-huh.
Are they?
Yeah. It's
Well, the
LFPOA
prizes
dues,
are
it's LFPOA money, so that's why it's members only.
Uh-huh.
And for fairness, it is
Yeah.
one card per person. And the only exception to that is if there are two people in the deed.
Mhm. Okay. I don't know. How's anybody feel about that? If are we that worried about $25 in Lake Forest dues if we're able to attract people who spend $100 on food and bring in their friends? I think there's a wash there. If it's a legal opinion, then that's a whole different story.
I'll say that I agree, Tom. I wish that other members of the community could participate, not necessarily win a prize, but I think that they should still be able to come and enjoy bingo. Because I personally have friends that have wanted to come play bingo, but they can't because they're not LFPO
Well, that's a
members.
good idea. You could have a list of people that came that weren't members
Mhm.
up at the bingo table and tell them when they come in that they can't win a prize, but they can play bingo. I'm not a bingo player. I don't, I just showed up for bingo as a volunteer. That's all.
Good.
It's-
So it sounds like we got more stuff to talk about bingo, and it should be an agenda item for.
Right, okay, no bingo for June.
No big, yeah.
Move on.
All right. So I had two things, Jeff. Are we gonna think about rescheduling the Memorial Day tournament, or we have subsequent tournaments? Okay. Cool. Also, I just want to point out that the pillars at the waterfront were actually painted by Jeff. He did it himself, so kudos to him for doing things like that himself. Stump grinding, we had a member that reached out to us about the stump on his property. Was that taken care, was he on?
1 through 10 are done.
No way.
Okay,
So 1
perfect.
through 10 are completely done, including the back portion of the 10. So we're working on 11 through 18. We just try to mobilize it one time a year. So there was 65 stumps that we had.
Oh, no.
So we're working our way through.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, we'll move to the next order of old business, climate survey, Misty.
So was it Tuesday?
Yes.
Tuesday, we sent out the e-blast to encourage people to submit up to 2 email addresses to participate in the climate survey. So there's a link for you to access an online form or a QR code that you can scan. It's a very short form. Just provide your member number and your email addresses, and we'll be sending the actual survey out in the next week to 10 days. Monday, we stop the collection and start calling the emails. And then once we've done the email cleanup, then we'll launch the survey to those email addresses that we collected.
What's that look like so far? How many email addresses have we gotten? Do we know?
Yesterday, it was about 40 people that signed up for their email address.
Are we using our database emails in addition to the emails that we've solicited for?
Well,
Or
I don't, no one wants board members touching email addresses
Right.
these days,
Yeah,
so
I
I
gotcha.
couldn't answer that question for you.
but are we gonna use, like, we have our database and those plus the 40 more that or however many we get, the survey's going out to all of them?
Well, there was going
Or-
to be some data cleaning, so we were going to match the member numbers with the email addresses provided with the ones in the database
Mhm.
to see if there's any discrepancies that needed to be followed up on.
Mhm.
So they were going to be matched but not replicated,
Mhm. Okay.
only supplemented by this collection.
That answers
I
my
was,
question.
I was wondering about, I went through the process just to see where it was gonna take me. And perhaps I did it wrong, but what I got to was a page that required me to have a Gmail address to respond.
Okay, we'll check.
To get into Google Docs, it wanted me to sign in with a Google email address.
Okay, we can check that. So I made the form, but then I sent it to Jeff so he could copy it into his Google account, and it may have reset the settings of forcing Gmail, but I originally pulled it out, but maybe that's just a button we need to go in and click.
Okay, and this right now is just data collection,
Yeah.
right? This is not the survey.
Right.
When we get to the survey, we're going to transmit that through the addresses, the email addresses that are on file with Lake Forest. Is that right?
Yes. And the additional email addresses that we.
That, and somebody might supply,
Yep.
but it's not going to be just GDocs.
Right.
Okay.
There's gonna be some
Thank
cleanup required, because if people have unsubscribed to LFPOA emails in Constant Contacts, I'm going to have to go create a list of the unsubscribed list and cross-reference that with the list that we've got from our alpha
Gotcha.
list
Sure.
and the new list. So there's gonna be some cleanup going on, just to where we're not sending things to people that have requested to be unsubscribed to our correspondence. So just to be, accurate with that, it'll take a little bit of time, but it's nothing we can't figure out.
And what's the promotional plan here beyond the emails?
So hopefully there's questions in the climate survey about all of the issues that we face as a board. And so it's asking everyone's opinions on how much they utilize amenities, what their opinions are of the amenities, what future amenities they would like to have, as well as some other, just general membership interest questions.
Well, how do we say to Mike George, who only cares, and when the heading says golf, how do we get Mike's attention when he doesn't look at any other email, right? So we want people who, number one, are not digital. I don't know how we're reaching them. I know we said we're going to have a printed copy, but how do we even communicate to them it's there? They don't read the newsletter. They don't get email. They don't check email. How do we? I'm afraid that 20 to 30% of Lake Forest residents are underrepresented here, or could be underrepresented. And I'm not saying I have a solution. I'm just wondering what we can explore to try to do that. I mentioned to you, maybe we, put out some signs or something.
Sure.
I don't know,
We could do that.
Maybe with a QR code or something.
Well, even the QR code's hairy. I mean, you could.
Well, yeah, that's true. I guess.
Yeah, we
That's
can't,
true.
they can't access the survey through a QR code because we're trying to prevent people from duplicating
Yeah.
access, which is
Yeah.
why we have the emails, but we can put something on our main sign, and we can print up a few more signs just saying, there's a climate survey, stop by the office if you're not checking the emails. Or, like we can come up with the word.
Yeah, I really like the idea. I just want to make sure that we indeed are hearing from as many residents as possible, because there's just a lot of people who feel disenfranchised because they're not technology oriented. And John, well, John's not here. I was going to kid him about
He was
how
here.
he feels about that.
He had to be,
So,
So
yeah,
I'm
all
gonna
right,
make a
thank
note
you.
on that. So signage. So that's all I have on the climate survey.
Awesome, thanks. Any other comments? All right, next order of old business, we're going to vote on the committees, the charter committee membership. We've updated the charter as per several discussions. We removed the verbiage
Number 9.
from number 9 that indicated the number of committee members. So any committee can have any number of committee members. And then just, we'll go over the committees. Again, architectural committee, finance committee, election committee, all right now have board representation. We've discussed last week potentially, as we get to election time, looking at what that would look like if we included community members. So we'll address that a little closer time to the election. Infrastructure Committee and the Lake and Environmental Committee. Any additional comments or questions on this resolution?
I move to approve the resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Matt?
Uh,
Okay. All right, resolution is approved. All right, let's see, any other old business, board, Jeff? Okay, moving on. We'll move into the first order of new business, Waterfront Pier Project, Misty.
Okay, so I'll pick up from where I left off with the infrastructure review. So, the committee has recommended a contractor to use for the building of the piers. Our next step is to select the engineering firm that will create the renderings, the specs, and perform the permitting stages for us. We previously, the last time this project got started up, we used Clay McCoy. So I am recommending that we contract with Clay McCoy to restart our permitting process. In your emails, you've received the agreement from Clay. It's about a third of the cost of what it would be if we use GCLM. So tonight I am asking the board to please vote on engaging with Clay McCoy to begin the engineering and permitting early beginning process.
I have a question. So Clay will essentially, he was engaged in 2023.
Right.
Okay, so can you help us understand what he did in 2023?
So he created the renderings that we used in this round of bid solicitation, which has the dimensions of the docks that are going to be built in a marina, not a marina map, a water map showing where vegetation and things are like that. He's the one who gets the state lands permit and the Corps engineer permits and helps with the city permits as well. So he's offered to do all of that for $1,200. And I'm also going to ask him to work with the infrastructure committee on refining the scope of work further than where we are at this point.
he worked for Shoreline, and he now works for who?
It's in Pensacola. I forget the name, but he's still the principal engineer there. So
Is he a registered professional engineer?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's PE.
I recommend that we hold off until after we get the report from Patrick with the meeting he had with the waterfront people.
We got that report from Patrick a few hours ago today. It's in your email.
Yeah, I'd still recommend we hold off till we can discuss the report.
Yeah, I've got to say, I respect the work you've done here, and I want to see us get this done. And I had a chance to look over Patrick's stuff at about 4:30 today, and it does feel to me like it's another executive session discussion. I'm with you on it, and I'd be willing to say that if we could talk about it in executive session, that if we needed to reconvene tonight and vote on it, that might be possible. I'm not sure, but I think that there's some more questions that Patrick's report prompts. Not against it at all.
Can we call a 10-minute adjournment?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I do not have access to that report. I am out of town. I'm not unable to get access to what he sent. So it's not going to do me any good to sit, and I'm not going to do the executive session.
What was your motion?
To adjourn for 10 minutes to go into executive session.
A second.
Vote. Aye.
Aye. All right. We'll adjourn for 10 minutes to go into executive session. We'll start a timer. 49. Can make it 6:50. Yeah. Yeah, please.
Might help if Patrick summarizes
Yes, sir.
for
But Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Patrick, can you send that to me in my old email address?
Patrick, would you mind going over that with us? So give him Cliff Notes. Okay, thank you. Okay. Hey Siri, set timer for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sorry it's late. We're actually preparing for our summer stamp camp with cadets and on the other side of Mobile. Actually, I don't yell at cadets anymore.
Anymore.
That's the best part.
You can't yell at them anymore.
Oh.
All right, Tom, well, since you're queued up with the first questions, do you wanna?
Oh, I was gonna try to send this thing to,
Patrick's gonna
you gonna
summarize.
send that?
He's gonna
Patrick.
summarize, send it to him and then summarize.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you wanna do it? I'd rather you do it.
Well, why don't you talk and I'll do it? Would that be all right? You
So when
can
they're ready,
Okay.
you gotta-
summarize.
Yeah, I just sent,
Hey,
he's gonna print me out a copy of it.
hey,
Yes.
okay.
Like,
Vic, what email do you want that sent to?
Okay, we'll pick up where we left off. Thank you guys who
Is
stayed.
Nick back on there?
He said he was gonna try to sign back in.
Okay, we'll wait.
did you know Clay Poche? Who worked in the Mobile office with FBI? You know, he retired by the time you.
Yeah, I gave her in 2019,
Yeah, okay.
so he probably retired before that.
So we can go back to the
I
other
definitely would
side.
have known.
Yeah,
him,
the
so
regular.
I knew a bunch of the retired guys. Fire. He doesn't own a truck, does he own a trucking company?
No, he was doing consulting work.
abstain? Okay, motion passes. Anybody else have any new business?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
I
Oh.
have some comments or a question.
Okay, sorry.
There was a question put to Bill earlier about creating tennis as a line item again. And Misty, I think you said because there'll be money going out. Has there been money spent on tennis that we don't know about?
Jeff is having some cracks repaired in the 2 hard courts that are operational at the facility.
How, see, how are the cracks, what are they being filled with?
It's American Tennis Courts that's doing the repair. I haven't seen, did they include what the material was?
Yes.
Silaflex?
I think it's supposed to be a fiber mesh to fill some of the cracks because some of them are 1 inch wide.
Yeah, but there's a, that's the reinforcing.
Okay.
There's a composite that goes in there.
I think, Tom, your question was, has any money been spent yet, right? Have we spent any money on tennis since?
Or,
Not yet.
but
Okay.
there's a contract out there,
Mhm.
signed contract. Is that what understood?
We're on their work schedule to come and repair cracks, but we don't have a date yet.
Have we signed a contract with them? I thought that's what you were saying.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So we're on their schedule to be, yeah.
Yeah, and how much is it?
$5,715 plus $350. So like right at $6,100.
I'm surprised. I'm not saying it's good or bad. And it's below 10,000, so it's certainly discretionary, but I do think that's stuff that the board ought to be talking about before we just do it.
It was brought to the board and we kind of talked about it last week and it was thrown off and it was made mention that it should not be a board's responsibility to enter agreements with, I can't remember the exact wording, so don't quote me on it.
I
But
don't
make
recall us agreeing to spend money, do you?
We don't, but we don't agree to spend money. If Jeff asked us to agree on every $5,000 repair, no repairs would get done. Because we would be
I think
needing
there are
it.
some that are more
So it's
sensitive than
not-
others, you know?
No, I don't,
Right, but
This
this
is-
is also a budgeted item. It's not necessarily something that's not known. I mean, it is something
Yeah.
that we budgeted for to be able to do these little repairs here and there, because I mean, we're not redoing the entire tennis courts, the 2 hard courts. We're just repairing where it needs the attention because it could be a safety hazard.
Well, I think the reason Tom's bringing it up is it's a shift in our position toward the tennis courts. Let me finish. You're always jumping in there. Let me finish. I think at the training session that we had, the discussion we had there was the annual maintenance for that whole facility down there, is something like $100,000 a year.
About 124.
Yeah, and we couldn't come up with a whole lot of membership participation either in the tennis courts or the pools other than the swim club. And the general notion was we're not gonna spend a lot of money down there given that circumstance. And this is kind of a change in that posture. So Misty has proposed a contract that's purely a contract. It's not an employee of the Property Owners Association. It's just a contract with somebody to give lessons. But I asked, I said, it'd take 2 years to break even on that contract, right? 24 months times.
no, those 2 things,
And-
that's conflating
Right,
2
they're not-
unrelated
still-
things.
They're
Yeah.
unrelated. This isn't a contract, but this is the contract.
Yeah, but we're
Oh.
okay, but I pointed out that we needed more clarity on that financial question. And I think Tom's question is predicated on that.
The 5,600.
Yeah, well, not just that, but that's why he's asking.
It's a practice
It's
question. This has
different
not
than
been our past
repairing a
practice.
pump.
Just because it's budgeted doesn't mean we spend it.
But when an amenity is broken, we fix them.
Right. One.
Well,
just
let's
like
go
the golf
fix the
course.
others then, you know,
That-
we've
that
had the
we have,
stables
like the
sitting
golf
out there.
course
We
has
still
been-
haven't done anything on that.
The golf
and
course has
it's
had a
the
lot of
season
repairs that
now.
we've done that have cost quite a bit. of
So,
money.
Let
golf
him-
course is
let-
different.
Let Tom talk and then you talk.
So, you know, this departs from our practice. And, you know, it's the tennis courts, and I thought our position on the tennis courts was, let's sit down and figure out the big picture and then decide how we handle this. We haven't figured out that big picture, and we're putting money into it piecemeal now in a way that may or may not be required. I don't know. I was out there and we walked those cracks, so I know what we're talking about. So again, all I can say is this is not how we've done things, and I don't understand why we would change.
Well, I think
Well,
part of
we-
it is the old board made that decision and this is a new board. And so it's been a conversation since we've been a new board. But because the old board thought that only 2 people in the neighborhood play tennis at those courts, which is very wrong, then it wasn't a worthwhile amenity. But
We
we
still
can't
don't know
take,
how
we
many
can't
people
fully
play
take
tennis
away
there, right?
amenities.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
we still don't know that the assertion of 2 people is incorrect. Who's
I can
proven that
text
that
10
it's
people
incorrect?
who live in this
guess I have
neighborhood
one
who
question
touched
as
those
well,
courts in the
is-
past month.
10.
I have
in my
another question
personal
as
phone.
well.
I don't know.
When it comes to the tennis courts, it was my understanding also that the tennis courts aren't closed. The tennis courts are still open and
Mhm.
able for anybody to go over there and use that wants to use it. The amenity is still available.
Mhm.
So
Well, we
if
weren't
it's
spending any
available,
money,
then
though.
I'm talking.
We weren't
If
spending
it's
any
Hold on,
money.
Matt.
available and
Jeez.
open, then that means that it's a hazard to allow it to be open and have people using it.
Who,
This is normal maintenance that needs to be done.
Who
This isn't
says it's a hazard?
necessarily who's anybody who's over there who could possibly cause.
well,
a
I don't know.
problem.
Could I judge if it's a hazard? I said I walked it, but I
No,
wouldn't
don't-
presume
don't
to judge
necessarily
whether
know
it's a
that we need
hazard.
To sit and have a discussion about whether or not an amenity needs maintenance. It needs maintenance. We do spend money on golf when they need maintenance. We spend money on pools when they need maintenance. I mean, how much has this electrical issue cost us so far? I mean, should we have to stop every time something like this comes up and have a conversation about whether or not we as a board think the maintenance
You
should
know,
be completed?
Whether it's
That's a red herring.
$6,200 or 62,000 or 620,000, we have the same responsibility to members. Doesn't mean that it takes the same depth, but I think we have an obligation to say, you know, we brought somebody in who looked at those tennis courts and said we should spend the money. We didn't do that. We just decided because somebody who plays tennis thinks that we should spend the money.
When
That is different than our practice, and it
That-
seemed to me
I
has
disagree,
no
Tom.
validity.
I completely
When
disagree
Sharon
as well.
was on this board and she played golf,
And-
she would bring golf
Related
repair
problems.
issues to the board and to Jeff, and they were done every week.
To
Yeah.
the board. See, that's
Mhm.
the
I brought
difference.
it to the board.
When did we talk about?
We talked
this?
about this last week,
And in the
the,
previous,
about this
and
last week.
we were,
Did-
we
did we
talked
talk
about
about
it.
Talked about it
spending
in
the
the
money?
working session.
Yes,
We
we
did. yeah.
I don't recall talking about hiring somebody. I recall us
I
talking
mean,
about
Vic was
what
over
might
there
be
giving
needed out there.
suggestions, So I know Vic heard it too.
Yeah, Matt specifically explained the math to me that the cost that we are getting from the pro does not equal in 1 year the money of repairing the cracks, even though those 2 things aren't related, but that's just a piece of the conversation.
And
where
I'll
we
look back.
definitely
I'll look
discussed
back. I
it.
don't recall us talking about it.
Yeah, I did. I asked Jeff, I stopped, it was a working session last week. And I asked Jeff, how much, for the tennis pro, his agreement was, I think, $200 a month.
well, that's
minimum.
independent. That's, that's independent
but I
of what
was-
we're talking about.
Well,
He's
it's
trying to just do
it's
a
not,
cost analysis,
what,
though.
I'm
Okay.
explaining.
All right.
I'm trying to explain.
Okay.
I asked Jeff, at $200 a month, and how much, and then I asked him how much the repairs would cost. And I said, well, it'll take us about 2 years to pay for just those repairs. And would we need to do other things? And that question, even though the tennis pro wasn't directly related to the repairs, he was indirectly related. See,
I understand.
that's when I had the discussion. I brought that up.
One thing I didn't mention is that gate needs to be fixed. So do we need to discuss the gate being fixed to get on the court too, or
I don't know
can
what
Jeff
does-
just
what does
repair
fixed
that
mean?
gate?
Chain link is there?
Yeah, so just a chain link gate. Thanks.
Anybody else have any additional comments? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion, meeting is adjourned.